other big fear that the market has is the possible extension of the long-term capital gains tax tenure from 1 to 3 years, or even the possibility of a reintroduction of a tax itself. Over to you, Menaka. Tell us about the big tax reset.
Good morning, guys. The budget will focus on two likely things: more tax revenue and more simplicity. Now, since economic growth prospects are not very encouraging, tax buoyancy may not aid revenue. What will help is an increase in the service tax rate from the current 14% closer to the proposed GST standard rate of 18%. That will also help in GST preparation. But what about the burden on consumers and the fact that the ratio of indirect tax to GDP is higher than direct and way above the average, as this graphic page shows? So, will any hike in service tax rates come with cuts in other indirect taxes? But then again, lots of micro tinkering with all of these tax rates might contradict that GST convergence expectation. Now let me move on to direct taxes, specifically corporate tax. On the one hand, the government says eliminate all incentives and deductions, and on the other hand, there are incentives being worked out for Startup India, Make in India. I don't quite get it. But most experts expect a 1% cut in the headline corporate tax rate of 30%, in keeping with the promise to move to 25%, as also expect a roadmap determining which incentives will go off when. Now, it's tough to determine the immediate impact on specific companies or sectors, because on average, India Inc. pays between 22 to 23% corporate tax rate, much lower than what the statutory rate is. Now, speaking of exemptions, Mr. Modi's criticism of exemptions for the rich, such as long-term capital gains tax exemptions, sparked off several fears. So the question is, will the tenure definition of long-term change, will it be accompanied by indexation benefits? Will STT go, therefore? And all of this at what cost, given the mood in the markets nowadays? That's a billion-dollar question. As for personal income tax, though we've been reporting a potential change in income tax slabs, the economic survey seems very opposed to that idea. The survey speaks of taxing rich farmers, property taxes, and much has been said of estate tax or inheritance tax. Now, all of these might help create a more equitable tax system, but what about the political ramifications, especially of taxing farmers? And finally, I want to mention the spate of arrests linked to alleged service tax claims. Now, many experts have called this extortionate. Will the government do anything about this? I doubt that, because that will make a dent in tax revenues. But I do hope for some changes in the penalty provisions, because just a week ago, Revenue Secretary Hasmukh Adhia made a special reference to that, saying one key reason for pending litigations is high penalty rates. We'll have answers to all of this in a few hours from now.
Yes.